Good evening and welcome to Scrapbooking with a Twist. We are going to do the embellishment hop that is going on right now, which is, I believe it's called Cookie Crumbles, the Cookie Crumbles or something like that. And we were to make a cookie embellishment, and we were to include our favorite cookie recipe with that embellishment, so that's what I'm doing tonight. So here is the embellishment. It's a title. It says Baking Cookies, and here is my recipe, and it is for cherry wink cookies. We have made cherry wink cookies in my family ever since I can remember as a little bitty teensy tiny girl. And the recipe used to be on the back of the cornflakes box, and then my mom kind of tweaked it a little, and that's just been our favorite cookie. We make it not just at Christmas time, but we always make it at Christmas time. My grandsons love it. My kids love it. So that's the cookie recipe that is going with my swap. And the bad thing is I had my swap done, had it in the car, ready to take to the post office, and I went, I don't have a recipe with it. So I had to go out, open it up, bring it in, open it back up, and get my recipe because I hadn't done it. So I'm going to trim this up just a little. Looks like my Cricut maybe kind of got a little, left a few little bitty places, so let's trim that up. Yeah, there we go. So I've got it all cut out. It was in Cricut Access. I found it a long time ago when I was going through looking for things to do with the different swaps. And so we're just gonna put it together. There was quite a bit of cutting to go with it. That's what took the most amount of time, was just getting everything cut. And of course I make 10 because we swap 8, and then I usually make a couple for myself so that I have one for each one of my my scrapbooks for each family. So anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So let's get this. This has 3 layers in the background. It has a lot of layers, but it has, whoa, what are you doing here? 3 layers for the background. It starts with the white and then has the black, and then it goes to this red. So let's go ahead and get that on there. Then we go to the individual little letters, the individual little cookies. It's like each one of the letters are a cookie. And they had done it in the red, black, and green. And I thought, I think I'll just do that too. It doesn't have to be, it wouldn't have to be a Christmas. Let's see, how does this go? I had to do this last time. Here we go. I think this is the way it goes. There we go. But I liked it in those colors, and so I just kept it in those colors because I think you could easily, it does have a little gingerbread cookie right up here for the 2 O's, but like I said, you could use it on a layout, a Christmas layout, any other kind of layout, in your, you could use it in your cookbook, if you do cookbook pages, whatever you wanted to. Okay, so there we have that. That's kind of the main thing. Then I want to put together this little face before we, and I did not ink. I always like to ink, but I did not ink this because there were so many pieces. I just decided not to ink it. So let's see, we got to find some pieces here. Let me get my little stick thing here, and let's see if we can, I'll put that up here because I want to tell you what paper I used in a little bit. We need the white for the eyes first. So let's get the whites of our eyes on here. If you can tell, my voice doesn't probably sound as strong as it normally does, but I'm way better than I was. I'll just tell you, I have been sick. I felt so bad. Let me go ahead and do the twist, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about how I've been feeling. The twist tonight, and I certainly hope that I don't offend anyone or that no one is offended by what I do tonight, but this has just been on my heart. And the main reason it's been on my heart is because of my grandsons. Like I said, I have been sick, and so I had a grandson staying with me, so I wasn't here by myself when I was feeling so bad. And so they like to watch the gaming YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. And we don't allow them to watch ones that curse or anything like that. And so let me just go on into the twist, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that. It's actually part of the twist. So the twist comes from Exodus 20, verse 7, which is the third commandment. And it is, thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain, the Lord thy God's name in vain. And we were listening to those YouTube videos, and I would make them change to a different gamer, because it's just like every other breath is, oh my God. Now, they don't put anything else with it usually, or ever that I've heard, but it's oh my God, just all the time on some of them. And some of them are very good, and they don't do that. And I just tell you, I really appreciate that. But so I told my one of them specifically was the one that was watching this one. And I said, you know, we're not going to watch that one because we can't have that. And he didn't argue or anything, but because he knows. But I just got to thinking about it. You know, we have gotten to the point in our society that taking God's name in vain is so common that it's like we don't even notice it anymore. People do it every day, everywhere, without really meaning to be cursing, you know? I mean, I don't think they really mean to be doing anything horrible, but it's just gotten to be so commonplace. I just lost my little thing. Where'd it go? So commonplace that we actually don't even notice it anymore. And that's not a good place to be. That's a really dangerous place to be. When a sin, and literally it is a sin to take God's name in vain, and you can look in the dictionary, and any definition for vain that you want to use, I don't care which one you use, saying, oh my God, as a byword, as whatever you want to call it, is wrong. There's just no other way to interpret it. It's just wrong. And we haven't always done it as a society, but I'm telling you, we do it tremendously as a society right now. Uh-oh, I did not get a nose in here. I don't have a nose, and the nose knows. So anyway, back to the twist. It's a dangerous place to be when we don't even realize that we're doing something that is specifically, and this is the third commandment. The first commandment is not to have any other gods. And the second commandment is not to make any graven images and to bow down to them. So the third commandment, the first four are about God and our relationship with him. And then the next 5 or even 6 are about our relationship with each other. And then the 10th one is about each other and more of a just about ourselves too. But these are important. don't have any other gods before me, and don't bow down to any graven images. And then the very next one is don't take my name in vain. So I think we've just forgotten. Not that we mean to be sinning with it, not that we intend to sin with it, but that it's just become so commonplace that we don't even realize that that's what we're doing. I mean, like I told my grandson the other day, I would actually rather hear the F word than for someone to take God's name in vain. Because even though Scripture tells us that we shouldn't, curse and do things like that, at least it's not one of the 10 commandments to, it's ugly and it's terrible, but at least it's, not one of the 10 commandments. And so we had kind of a long discussion about it, and my grandson understands, and he agrees, because he doesn't want to do that either. But as a society, it's just like we've gotten to the point that sin is just so commonplace that we don't even recognize it as a sin. And that's a dangerous place to be. What's next? Which sin is next that we do that we don't even realize that we're doing? So I hope that doesn't, offend someone. But if it does, I can't help it, because I believe it's just the truth. And if it bothers you, or if you hadn't thought about it in that way, I challenge you to pray about it and let the Lord guide you in how you need to feel about it and how you need to address it. And I think most people maybe don't, but a lot of people do, and it's just one of those things that we can't let just slip by, because it was very important to God, or he wouldn't have put it as the third commandment. Okay, so we've kind of got our little face of our cookie done. I really meant to put this one down under it before I put that one on there, but I didn't, so let's see if we can slide it up in under there. I did put his little face up on foam, which I don't think that was probably the actual intent, maybe, because the baking goes over the top of it, but I just really liked it on foam, and so I did, because I'm making this and I can do it however I want to. As Ginger says, there's no wrong way, and that's the way I wanted to do it. So now I'm putting on, I've got the little face and the little body, this OOs. Now I'm putting on his little arms. And you can see this was just part of the cutout where the little frosting, like for their hair. Oh, I have a dog outside and she's barking at something, sorry. And then there's a little bit also on his little arms that I will put on there. I thought this was cute. Way back when our embellishments first came out, I guess in January or December, whatever, I started looking at them and then going through Cricut and some things like that to see what I might do. And I found this, and so I've had this picked out for a long, long time. All right, let's get the frosting on our little arms. I told y'all I've been sick. I had my birthday. June 26th was my birthday. Well, June 20, and my friend and I went out to eat and did some shopping and just had fun. And my son and his two boys took me to the movie on the 27th for my birthday and out to eat. And we had gone to eat, and then we went to the movie having our popcorn and Cokes and everything. And I'm just sitting in the movie, and all of a sudden my chest started pounding so hard that I thought I might be having a heart attack. I mean, I literally was bouncing off the back of the theater seat. It was pounding so hard. So I didn't say anything. I just kind of chalked it up to the fact that, you know, I've had a big tub of popcorn that's heavily salted, and I normally drink decaf everything, and I was having a huge old Coke and chocolate with my popcorn and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, you know, maybe it's just overload of caffeine and salt that's making my heart pound like this. So I didn't say anything, came home. I did not feel good. One of the boys spent the night with me. I did not feel Sorry about that. My alarm went off and I could not find the pause button. And so I just turned it off. I totally forgot to turn my alarm off before I started this video. I hate it when I do that. And I do it on a fairly regular basis. So I'll have to go in and merge these two videos. I don't really like to do that. My Movie Maker app on my phone is not the most reliable. It doesn't always do real good. Okay, so we've got the C, the O, the K, the I. Let's see. Let's do the S next because I want that E on top of them. So anyway, came home and, oh, felt awful. I was supposed to go to the movie with my daughter and her boys the next day. I felt awful, and so I didn't, and just stayed at home, had somebody here with me, got to feeling even worse. So I went over to that was the weekend. I went over to my son and daughter-in-law, spent the night over there and stayed there. Got to feeling a little better, so I came home and one of the boys came home with me. And so Monday I called the cardiologist and they got me in on Tuesday and then started ordering a bunch of tests and all that kind of stuff. And I also got in with my, I have sleep apnea, and so I have a sleep doctor, but it's also pulmonary. He's also pulmonary. And so I got in with him and was able to see him. And so he started ordering tests. And so I've been just having testing like nearly every day. And let me think what all I've had. Of course, an EKG, of course, and then I had an EEG, an echocardiogram, and then they did an ultrasound on both sides of my neck for the carotid artery. Then they did venous Dopplers because I'd been swelling some too. They did venous Dopplers on both legs. Then they ordered a nuclear stress test, and I did that. The pulmonary doctor ordered a chest CT and a chest X-ray to make sure to make sure there wasn't a blood clot or anything there, because my symptoms, I mean, my heart would just pound and my chest would feel weird and I would be short of breath and just fainty feeling, flushed and fainty feeling. And my vision, it's like I was just foggy, just literally foggy. And so he said, let's make sure we don't have any blood clots in those lungs since you're struggling breathing. And so anyway, just test after test after test after test. And I just finished them. I had the last two today. I had the chest X-ray and the chest CT today. And there was no blood clot. They let me know that right on the spot. But anyway, it's just been, and I mean, I cannot get my steam back. I feel way better, but I just can't get my steam back. Like, I got a little bit hot this afternoon outside and kind of got yucky feeling, and I don't know. But then the funny thing is, I talked to my sister, and I hadn't called her through all this because she had about half, she finished about half of nursing school before her husband's a engineer, and he got sent to Indonesia, and so they lived there for 5 years. So she never finished her nursing school, and but we call her Dr. Kippy. Her name's Kim, and the kids couldn't pronounce it, so somehow the kids called her Aunt Kippy, and so we call her Dr. Kippy because she's always, she had just enough nursing school to be dangerous. So anyway, I didn't even call her because I just didn't want to hear, you need to tell the doctor this, and you need to tell the doctor that, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. I just didn't have it in me to listen to all that. So sure enough, we talked last night, and she said, oh my gosh. She said, I have had the exact same thing. And she said, I did go to the doctor, and they ordered blood tests and did all this stuff. And she said, we still don't know. So we're almost thinking that we may have had like COVID or some odd virus that, that wasn't detected in any, like, because we didn't do anything to detect that. She just thought it was, heart related or something. And, which I certainly did because I do have some heart issues. And so anyway, it was just crazy. But anyway, doing better, and go the 4th of August to get the results of all the tests. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be fine. I really do. But they were expecting some blockage, but we'll see. All right. I talked you all the way through that, didn't I? So there is our embellishment, our title. Now let's put together our little recipe card. I couldn't stand it. Well, in the first place, I didn't really have time. Like I said, I already had these in the car to mail them, in the envelope, addressed, everything in the car ready to take at the post office, when I realized I hadn't put a recipe in there. So I just came back in and actually copied this and cut it down and made the index card and did some little cherry die cuts. This paper, which I really did, I'll have to admit, I've got to be honest, I really didn't use a lot of scraps to make this embellishment, because it took, by the time I make 10 of them, you have these backgrounds, it takes whole sheets. It took a whole sheet to make the index cards. Now, I did use scraps for some of the things and the cherries and that kind of stuff. I did use scraps because I backed the recipe in black, but mostly it was full sheets of paper. This red check, I love these gingham checks, but I didn't particularly, I picked this paper out. It was a paper pack, and asked for it for Christmas, and one of my girls got it. And it's not real, but it's too glossy for me. And like, you can't hardly ink it because it never dries and all that kind of stuff. It's paper rose, and I don't know if I had it's made in Australia. I don't know if I just had never had it before or if I just forgot. But anyway, but it was perfect to use for these. And I did round the corners just because I felt like this was all very rounded. So I went ahead and rounded the corners. If I had thought soon enough, I would have rounded the corners on that too, but I didn't think of that soon enough. So, but anyway, I did round the corners on the index card. And I glued this, since that was so shiny, I wanted to be sure that it would stay. So I glued the recipe on there. So just gonna kind of off-center it a little so that I've got a little room to put those cherries kind of off the edge over there. But I couldn't stand to just send a plain recipe card, so I dressed it up just a little, not a whole lot, but just a little. Let me hold this with my tweezers. And this isn't much, but at least putting it on the little gingham paper and putting a couple of cherries on it, kind of dressed it up a little bit. But it won't, if you put it literally in your recipe box or recipe binder, whatever you keep, or if you just put it in your scrapbook, these won't take up, they don't take up much. Okay. All right, I think that's it. So we've got our baking cookies and our recipe cards, and that's what it is. I thank you for dropping by, and I'm sorry I just talked your leg off tonight about my troubles. But I'm feeling much, much better. And like I said, I just don't have my stamina back, but I think it'll be okay. And I go back for the follow-ups with the doctor on all the tests on the 4th, so keep me in your prayers. And have a blessed day and be a blessing to someone else.